First, let me apologize. I'm trying to get the top 10 list for top best and top worst. It's just a lot of issues have been driving me back, but I will try to post a top 10 list of films when I can. Well, spoilers. Coda is not going to be on the top best list, so wonder where it's going to end up. Well, it's on the worst. And I can't even list the amount of problems or issues I have with this thing. This thing is just so remarkably stupid, offensive, cliched. I found this thing mostly unbearable. There are a few good scenes. There are some good performances. That's about it. For most of it, it was just a very long, unbearable slog. And it just made my head hurt. I was just like, and I cannot believe people are buying this. So what is Coda? Well, the whole story is in the name. It's Child of Deaf Adults, or adult, or whatever. So Coda is just an acronym, and it's focused on a young girl. And admittedly, the premise actually sounds interesting. Basically, she can hear, her parents cannot hear, and her brother cannot hear. So most of her family is deaf, but not her. And it's about her troubles. She's a young girl growing up. She's experiencing romance. She's poor. So there you go. So it should be pretty obvious how to do this story. And it's not going to be one of the greatest stories, but maybe they'll do a decent job. And nope, they just managed to screw away any sympathy you have, because immediately the characters act really emotive and stupid and manipulative, and just stuff happens out of nowhere. People just don't seem to know things they should know. It's just really a train wreck of narrative nonsense. It's not like a David Lynch film where, well, maybe plot doesn't matter, maybe they're doing something experimental. Oh no, they're doing what you think they're doing, and it's just not very good. Like, one of the biggest things I kept thinking was, because they keep emphasizing how much problems they have with money. Your daughter knows ASL. ASL is an extremely marketable skill. You can make a lot of money doing ASL. How in the world does she have financial problems? Really? Like, I get it, they're in an isolated town, but we have this thing called the internets. You can teach this online. How is this an issue? This is a real job. You can be paid a lot of money to be an ASL person. This cannot be a major problem. Like, money cannot be a problem. She has a way to make money. What are you talking about? So putting aside the plot is just complete nonsense, and I cannot get beyond that big plot hole. That to me just like, what are you talking about? It's they just do so many cliches, and they're just so blunt and so predictable, and it's so explicit. So there's this one scene with the brother where, of course, he's disabled. He can't hear, so his speech pattern's a little weird. His mannerisms are a little weird. And of course, we're at a bar with the usual white, racist, sexist, homophobic, man bro, alt-right morons. They start making fun of him. And listen, I like the scene. The acting was good. I'm not saying it's a bad scene. And so, of course, when the brother takes revenge and starts beating them up, you're like, okay, that was good. I'm on your side. I like the scene. I like feeling this way, but really, it's so not subtle. And that's the kind of cards they pull. So that scene was good, but there's a lot of scenes like that that are not good. And after a while, you're like, this is getting really, really silly. I realize this is a serious topic. I'm not disabled in that way. I can hear, so I can't imagine what the world is like. And yes, it's good the production hired actual deaf people in the production and the acting. That's fine. I have no issue with that. You want to give them starring roles, I have no issue with that. They deserve the paychecks, by all means. But if you make them part of the central story, and the central story focused on them is really stupid and garbage and uninteresting and boring and predictable, what was the point? This isn't helping anybody. It's just confirming a lot of stereotypes people have about this, quote, community. And you didn't bring anything to light we didn't already know. Of course deaf people have issues. Yeah, they're people. We knew that already. So this just feels really rock bottom, manipulative Oscar bait. It didn't deserve any Oscar recognition, does not deserve the nominations, definitely didn't deserve any prizes. And people I respect, and I think are not partisan, they just fell for it. They're just like, oh my God, it was just touching it, reaffirmed by the life essence, and oh my God. And like, I felt like zero for most of these characters. Like, the teacher kind of sense a little bit. The brother also kind of made a little sense. I can't even use the character names. They're not characters. They're just plot devices. They're just empty vessels for ideology. And I have no problem with political films. I don't even have a problem with Marxist or fascist or feminist films. If they're done well, fine. But this thing was just so overbearingly stupid and beyond its plot problems, beyond the acting problems, beyond even its conceptual problems. This thing is stolen. This thing is just a blatant ripoff of Mr. Holland's Opus. Because once you see Opus, admittedly, it has its own issues, you will see certain sections and you'll be like, oh, wow, they stole everything. They just basically took a big subplot, made it into the main plot from Opus, and that's all they did. And they just made it a lot worse. It's a lot more stupid and way more cliched. Whatever I think about Opus, they tried to treat this with a little bit more maturity. And I felt way more watching Opus. So if you want to see a good film where at least a part of the major story, not the whole story, is about this sensitive issue, I'd say see Mr. Holland's Opus. In fact, just see Mr. Holland's Opus, because this thing is nowhere close to Opus quality. It's just really, really frustrating. And I cannot believe serious people put this on a top 10 best list. I can't even see putting this on a top 100 or 1,000 best list. This thing's just such garbage and such politically correct nonsense. It's really just so stupid and offensive. And please don't watch it. If you're going to see out of curiosity, by all means, but I would say it's not worth even a look. It's not.